Fantasy Six-Pack Hour with your hosts, Joe Bob and AJ Applegarth.
All right, welcome to the Fantasy Six-Pack Hour. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. With me, as usual, Mr. AJ Applegarth and DapScout. What's going on, guys?
What up?
Not much, man. How are you?
Hanging in there, man. Had a fun little adventure today where my landscapers cut my Verizon internet line. So, yeah, good times.
Can you hear me now?
So when we
Right.
hear people having landscapers and then something bad happens, do we feel bad?
No.
I mean, I'm just wondering, is that like a...
I mean, I guess I could say I cut it myself. I don't know. Like, with that...
That sounds like a
It
Joe
still
percent
sucks.
problem. Yeah, okay. That sounds like
I was drinking my tea with my pinky out, and these guys came across my lawn with this lawnmower, and were like,
and I said, hey, excuse me. You know the country club does not accept this.
Me. You shouldn't be out here, sir. Where's your permit?
Oh,
You guys were hanging on to that one before the show, huh?
oh
That
yeah,
was
we were
good.
waiting.
I like
We
that.
actually
That
had
was good.
coordinated it.
Good.
Like, man, I hope Joe brings up the landscape issue.
Totally.
That was good.
So
That was good.
We
That
had
was
our
good.
personal DM in Slack. We're like, what's the over/under on the landscaping cut line? Yes. He didn't get the joke. I know he didn't get the joke. It was a whole back and forth. You weren't
Yeah,
there, no.
and then he's all like, I will never pay off your gambling debts again. And I was like, okay, Joe, I get it. One time you helped me out.
How's your Grey Poupon on your hot dogs? Oh man, you should bend
All
over
right.
more often. Then we can.
These
see
are
this cool
way
trophy
better
instead
jokes than
of
what
your
Mike
face.
was telling before the show. Jeez.
Oh man,
We're
those
off
jokes
the
that Mike
rails.
was. Okay, we've obviously made ourselves really
My
funny.
master's.
All right. Well,
master's homage paid.
Shoot him, Gavin.
That's right.
all
Cool
right,
trophies
so-
behind you, bro. Cool trophies. I like it. Why
Thanks.
don't you
Thanks. You
explain
like
your
the
new locale?
setup?
Is this
Me
because
and,
of the lawn guys? Did they like cut out your old like bookcase too? Was that part of your internet?
You should have stopped when you were ahead, AJ.
I don't do that.
Okay.
Hey Joe, what are we
Good to know.
covering today?
Yeah, what are we doing? So yeah, we're gonna be talking about some of the news, specifically Joe Bob plays fantasy polo. Thanks, Mark. All right, I like it.
You might.
I walked right into that one.
Chet's
All right,
horses are so much
tonight
better.
We are tonight we're gonna be talking about Jackson Holliday getting called up.
That
Gonna be
steed
talking
is my
about,
number
is
one
it-
rookie draft.
Shut up, people. Is it time to panic on some of these slow starters that we had so much hope for? And then obviously some of the big injuries, and then wrap it up with some fun. But before we jump into that, of course, hit that subscribe button, leave those 5-star reviews, comment on the show. We appreciate it. We love hearing from you. And of course, jump over to fantasysixpack.net/plans. Sign up to be an all-access member. You're going to get access to our award-winning rankings, our draft cheat sheets for both baseball and football. You're going to get access to us over on Discord, where we get to answer your personal league questions and much more. And then, of course, our DFS and betting content as well. And yeah, we're always adding more. So jump in and join. We've got our promo code F6P MLB24 still running for just a little bit longer to save 15% on all of our plans. So without
Are you able to afford your landscaping if we keep the 15% promo going?
That's why we need those
No,
5-star
he's-
reviews, guys. Come on. Joe's got to keep this landscaping going throughout the entire summer and the entire baseball season.
This literally could last the entire show for me. I'm going to be totally entertained. I'm so sorry.
Guys,
I really don't care at this point.
So instead of the Calvin Biggio counter, it's gonna be the Joe landscaping counter for Dap this show.
You know what though? Honestly, Biggio probably would be better off landscaping for you than he would playing for the Blue Jays. But I digress.
Probably get more out of that field. I'll tell you that much.
I would rather draft him in the Joe's Landscaping League.
Biggio or that number one steed you were talking about in that fantasy polo league?
Both, actually. I think Kevin Biggio is actually in the polo club, so can't wait.
I mean, it depends on which one holds the whip.
Yeah.
And which one's doing the mulch.
But seriously, guys,
we are literally 6 minutes into the show. We have talked about absolutely nothing. This is
so.
fantastic.
Let's talk about the number one prospect in baseball getting called up.
Yeah, Jackson Holliday for who? Our O's.
Yeah.
So
0 for 7.
Not starting out super great, but I don't know.
All right, look, guys.
I think it's great that he's up, but
pressure.
I'll be honest. Like, I wasn't expecting great fantasy things for him this season. Like, even if he got called up, it's early for this kid. Like, he'll be fine, but I don't know. Everybody's dude. You should see some of these like trade offers that are getting sent out and like and that are
insane.
We're answering in like Facebook groups. They're absolutely insane.
Right. Well, we talked about this pre-show, but two people that had a notable offer starting for multiple games. Alex Bregman, who we'll talk about later, 0 for 17 before collecting his first hit, and Willie Mays started 0 for 12 before collecting his first hit. So basically, Jackson Holliday is going to be Willie Mays. That's what we're saying, right there.
Or better.
I mean, it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I mean, like, so I talked about like the trades, right? So I sent a couple of these like trade offers that I saw into our Slack. I have Jackson Holliday being offered Austin Riley in a redraft head-to-head points league. What?
Sold. Do it.
What? Yes. Is that a real question?
Yeah.
I can't tell that person's being sarcastic. Like, I've seen other and then there's of course like people making fun of it because all these questions keep coming out, and like it was really funny today. It was like, hey, I was offered Acuna and Soto for Jackson Holliday. Should I take it? Like, clearly like a joke, but it's like that's how ridiculous some of these questions are. It's like, why are we going like crazy for these guys? The Dynasty ones are even more funny.
The Dynasty ones are insane.
Like, hey, do you want Shohei Ohtani for Jackson Holliday straight up? It's like, yeah.
Please.
No.
Well, some of the trades that were going off when Ohtani, the whole gambling thing first came out was almost as if Ohtani had died. I mean, some of the things were just nuts. Like it was like, I'll get, will you give me Ohtani for like, 3 minor leaguers that, might be in the top 100? Like he's not dead. Like he's, this gambling thing, whatever. He's still going to play. Like it's the same type of thing with Holliday. Hey, look, if you're getting crazy top 50 real baseball players, no offense to Holliday, right now, sold. I will sell. Have them. Here you go.
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry,
yeah.
Chad. I'm taking Riley every day for that deal. No way.
So obviously we're panicking already on Riley. Add it to the show. Got it.
Yeah.
Panic meter going up.
All right. So
Are we
let's
panicking
cover
on Holiday though? I mean, some of these
obviously.
trade offers. I think we need to be.
You know who's not
The other
panicking on
owners.
Holiday? So most teams that would lose their, number one player in the entire league would be panicking, except for the Norfolk Tides, the AAA team for the Orioles, who still have Kobe Mayo, top 100 prospect, Heston Kjerstad, top 100 prospect, Connor Norby, who has 7 home runs already, Chase McDermott, top pitcher, Cade Povich. The team could easily wipe out, not even just the Oakland A's, probably I'd say the bottom 5 teams in MLB, no problem.
The Mets, easily beatable.
We're talking about.
I would typically say Detroit, but they've been rained out too many times to be relevant right now.
The Nats.
The Nats, yes.
The Marlins.
The Marlins. Can crush
the
them.
Marlins for sure.
White Sox.
what?
They could potentially beat the Phillies.
Yeah,
The
like
White
every
Sox,
game
no,
series.
yeah. Well, the White Sox
Yes.
don't have anybody alive on their team anymore. I mean,
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
I don't know who their groundskeeper is, but whoever it is needs to be fired because they're putting like spikes or something in the actual infield soil. We'll cover an injury here in a second, but that's just a stupidly loaded team. I feel bad for the GM for the Orioles just because you have to get those players to play somewhere, and at a certain point, you're just like, okay, I got to trade them too, but am I going to get enough value? It's a dumb problem to have, but my God, like if this was a team that you had in Dynasty that you were playing against, you would say, okay, I'm quitting the league because this is too loaded. This is ridiculous. It's video game-esque how incredibly loaded that organization is. I hate you, Joe. I hate you, AJ. I'm just letting you know that from the rest of the league, letting you guys know we hate you.
I'm split decision here.
No.
AJ cheats. He roots for two teams. You know.
Oh
cool.
God.
Cheat? I've got an AL team and an NL team. Why is that?
Oh,
so wrong?
don't be like one of the. Oh,
Mark's jumping in here again.
Yes.
This whole show. We're just gonna
Groundskeeper
retitle
Willie.
this making fun of.
He'll
what
get that
Joe's
shit in line.
landscapers.
Last time I wore a kilt,
You know who
cut
you shouldn't-
Verizon
yeah.
line.
yeah. Don't hire anybody. If you need a landscaper, please look to make sure they didn't work for the White Sox because if they did, your entire family will die.
Don't
That's
send the kids outside to play in the yard.
Are we sure Joe's landscaper didn't work for the White Sox, cutting out his internet?
he might have cutting the Verizon. Yeah, that actually makes more sense. But anyway.
He showed me the
He wore
line.
a
It was just
shirt
like,
that said
yeah, I
"Sight
mean, like it
walks,"
was
and I
always
didn't
dug
understand
in
it
the
at
ground.
first, but now I do.
Like, yeah, the guy literally was just like, I mean, it was just underground. Like, I don't really know how we missed it. Like,
You should have been like, did you dial
the
811
hell?
before you came to my house to see where you could dig? Huh? Did you? No?
the Verizon guy
Fire.
was like, yeah, you're supposed to call
you
these
say that
people
with your pinky
before
out
you
and
start
your teeth
digging. And I laughed. I was like, yeah, about that. So anyway,
wait, okay, serious question though. Can you actually grip your kombucha tea with your pinky out?
I don't know.
Let's try it.
I got one for you.
That was the wrong pinky.
So we're going to cover
Brain.
time to panic
Brain,
this
yeah,
season
my
because we're
brain.
getting so many questions
Time
in
to panic. It's been
whether or not it's time to panic. We're getting some
just
important
taking
ones.
bad
And
at this.
we're getting some ones that we're laughing about because we're like, seriously? But we thought we'd cover them all. Some of these obviously are tongue in cheek, but at the same time, we want to cover some of these guys that aren't completely from a numbers perspective on a slow.
You say they're tongue in cheek, but man, I tell you, I
know
these groups, and they are legit being asked. Like,
I
do I trade this guy for these low ballers? Or there are legit people who are like, man, I'm sick of this guy. I'm just gonna drop him. They're just trying to pull HAs. Like, it is
Rage
craziness out there.
Hey, by the way, AJ, from your last week hate drop, Ober did a heck of a job this week.
That was me. That was me.
Oh, that was you. I'm sorry.
That was me.
We're going to talk about the guy that I talked about rage dropping last week because now he is really close to getting it this week. But
well, there was some incredible pitching performances for the early games today, like Brown for the Astros. He did some Brown things to do. So if you are in a head-to-head league,
nice.
You are dead if you decided to play any of the Houston Astros that played today. The bullpen was terrible. I think they gave up, I believe, let me last count, 85 earned runs in the game today. So, yeah, that was not good.
Or 13 or 15, whatever.
13 or 15, one or the other. It's potato. But yeah, it is tongue in cheek for us, but we are legitimately getting these questions. So that's why we thought we'd bring it in and ask, is it time to panic for some players? So, Joe, who's our first guy?
First guy is Mr. Julio Rodriguez.
Dump him.
Trade him.
Look,
Absolute trash.
Yeah, this not a good start to the season. What, 10 for 55 played? 196 196 batting average. He struck out 18 times already. Not good. Clearly, man, you've got to, you've clearly got to give this guy time. I mean, look, he was actually pretty terrible last year for a good portion of the season, it felt like. And he still ended up being, did he finish 30 overall? What the hell was his total?
Let's put it this way. He finished well enough to get some votes here and there on various awards.
Yeah.
Roto Gut actually had a really good tweet yesterday about this. Julio Rodriguez, J-Rod, career batting average, March and April, 220. Every other month, 289 plus. So a lot of this is when the weather warms up, some of these players start playing better. And if you're in Seattle, it's cold. It's cold right now.
Yes. And like last year, 239 in March and April. It was 252 in May. And then it dropped down to 220 again in June. It just was a bad first half, 249 overall in the first half. And then the second half came, he batted 308, hit 19 home runs. It ended up being a very, very good season for him. So I think.
And only 100 RBIs, Joe. 103 RBIs.
Whatever. You got to get rid of him. Look, he's going to be fine. He's striking out at a higher clip right now. It's just, we're fine. And I'm not worried about it at all. It's coming for him. So.
And his exit velocities in a game about 2 days ago was 114 miles an hour, 108 miles an hour, and 104 miles an hour. He ended the day when those happened 0 for 4. So it's not like he's not making quality contact.
His BABIP is 303, right? Which is more than 100 points in his batting average. So that tells you something right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Getting a tad unlucky. We'll be fine. J-Rod has never hit better than 239 before May 1st in his MLB career. Bye. Yes. And that's the case. So the other side of this is if you do have a manager in your league who is panicking,
absolutely,
go offer him anything. Go get this guy. It doesn't matter.
Mark, here's the thing. If you have if you have Cody Bradford, for example, right? Everybody's all enamored with this Texas Rangers pitcher, Cody Bradford, right? There's somebody coming up that he's probably going to kick him out of the rotation. Go trade him. See if you can get a Julio Rodriguez. If you got somebody who's complaining about this slow start, go grab one of these guys that fast start out of nowhere and trade him. Absolutely. Go do that right now if you can get away with it. Sorry.
Yeah. No. You're good. So we're going to move on here to another couple guys who I think have this one could be a bit more legitimate.
Yeah.
Couple of Cardinals here who I think we all were kind of hoping, maybe more than hoping, kind of expecting a bit of a bounce back.
Right.
This is not what you wanted to see from two guys who had a struggle bus of a season last year. These guys are tough. I don't think I'm dropping them. They might just go to my bench for a little while. Because clearly at this point you're not getting anything worthwhile in a trade with these guys. Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado, for those listening. Sorry, I didn't say their names. But only one home run between the two of them, 11 RBI total between the two of them. Nolan Arenado at least is batting 245, which still sucks, but Paul Goldschmidt is batting 182. So not great.
What makes it even worse for Arenado is if you go even deeper, right? Katie Wu for The Athletic did this amazing article yesterday for both these guys. And if you have The Athletic, go read it. But one thing she talks about with Arenado, other than his timing obviously being completely out of sync, is he hasn't barreled a ball. This is as of yesterday. I haven't looked today. For the season, the entire season, as of yesterday. And his exit velocity average is 84.1 miles per hour. That's not going to get it done unless you're in like a softball league. So that freaks me out. Timing not in sync, not hitting the ball very hard. 84 point. I would be panicking like crazy if I had Arenado. Goldschmidt, Goldschmidt, I don't know. It feels like he's right there-esque. I mean, yeah, 16 strikeouts alone, but again, it's the Arenado no power thing that's freaking me out about that. Especially considering he's not in Colorado anymore, right? Of course, he's with the Cardinals. So I don't know, Joe. Arenado is kind of on like, if I could find anything for him, I probably would.
For me, I've been a big fan of both of these guys for a long time. I mean, more Goldschmidt than Arenado, I feel like. But yeah, I mean, we've seen the drop with Arenado in the power once he left. I mean, it was still there, but it wasn't as prevalent. And he's just kind of been going downhill, since he left Colorado. He still had 34 homers and 105 RBIs in 21. He still had 30 homers and 103 RBIs in 22. That's 157, 148 games.
Right.
Now he still dropped off, below the 300 in last year's series or season, 144 games. So as his game count has gone down, his stats have gone down, but I think it's bigger than that. His strikeout rate is going up. Right. His BABIP's been kind of up and down, so that's not really a big telling sign, but his average has just been shit. Right. Aside from 22 when he was hitting 293, he's been 255 and 21, 266 last year. He's at 245 now, as we can see here on the screen. I'm not overly worried with him. I think that he's still going to come around and, be what we expect him to be, like a close to, maybe 30 hitter, 30 home run hitter, and
I'm not betting on that anymore.
High 80s RBIs. I don't think he's going to get to 30. I think he's going to be like mid 20s again, but the potential is there. We've seen it throughout his career that it's there. But yeah, I mean, he is older now. He's in his age 33 season. Goldie, he's a little bit different. I mean, the 16 strikeouts to me is super alarming.
Right.
Obviously that's playing into his batting average there, but just
his strikeout percentage is basically what is about 8? It's 8 percentage points higher than his career average.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
not good.
Not gonna do it.
I mean, at age 36, maybe he's just slowed down enough that he's not able to catch up. I don't know.
And here's the thing, right? And Katie Wu also mentions this as well, is that the bottom of that lineup is, you got people like Victor Scott II, our boy, Mason Wynn, and those aren't people that are going to be doing, power. Jordan Walker is hitting 162. Gorman has almost a 36% strikeout rate. I mean, it's an absolute mess in that lineup. And if Arenado and Goldschmidt, who are like the veterans, you're expecting that to be an anchor and give you power. If they're not doing any of that, that whole roster might get blown up here soon. So this could get really ugly if this sustains any longer.
Yeah, I mean, and yes, Mark, we get it. It is a small sample size, and we're not saying
Mark,
big brass decision here.
Yeah,
I
think Goldie's been. I mean, both of these guys have been a picture of overall consistency throughout their careers. Goldie had. He's been in nearly every game. Like, he's been a picture of health too. I've probably just ruined that. But
he just went down with, it looks like 2 broken ankles.
He went down with AJ-itis.
Yeah, exactly. Inflammation of that fucking guy who always curses everybody.
Nah, AJ. I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt. It was the landscaper this time.
Yeah. Cut him down.
He was hoping. He was hoping to jump in with that. Love it.
Awesome. What's the count up to now?
Yeah.
Like 8, 9?
I think
at least.
I think the thing that concerns me the most with both of these guys, and I don't expect it to be this low, but if you look at their hard hit percentage rate, it is in the teens for both of them right now. It's not going to finish there. I understand that, but you don't expect guys this good through 2 weeks of the season to be hitting the ball this bad, this poorly. And so that is concerning. These are guys that look, I said it as soon as I announced them on the show, I'm not cutting them. I doubt you're getting anything in a trade for them, anything worthwhile, honestly. But if you're, in my opinion, if you can find a trade partner who is going to give you 75 cents on a dollar, I would do it with these guys. I'm actually really concerned with them, but I'm not going to cut them yet. But they're probably on my bench in most leagues for at least a little while. But let's move on here to another guy here, another slugger, Vlad Guerrero Jr. Another guy who I think people were hoping for a bit more of a bounce back. I've seen some comments about him. Only batting 200. OBP is really nice at 322. So he's got those 8 walks. That's pretty nice. 3 bombs. But man, you see that batting average and you just go, what the hell? I don't know. Like, what do we think about Vlad here?
It seemed like last season he kind of slowed down a little bit. Even though his numbers were kind of there, it seemed like the whole team kind of slowed down a little bit. But I'm expecting this again to be a weather kind of, as things heat up, he'll heat up. I know they don't play outside, but I'm just saying.
I was gonna say, are they playing dome?
No, shut up. You know what I meant. I think it's gonna be I'm not too. If it wasn't such an advanced hitter, I'd be a lot more worried. I would like to give him another 30-day run here. Obviously, if there's some concern about health or something like that, I haven't heard anything like that. But then I'd start getting a little bit more concerned. But Vlad's such a incredible professional hitter that I'm not too worried about it. But
I'll
change quickly.
This one actually really surprises me. His BABIP is identical to his
average. No.
Yes. 200.
No. I thought for sure it was going to be. I thought for sure it was going to be way higher, considering how hard he hits the ball.
And most of his seasons, it's not higher. Not that much higher. Last year he batted 264. His BABIP was 277.
Mind blown.
So I will throw in. You talked about weather, this and that. Yes, Toronto does play in a dome.
Thank you.
I believe it can open, but I'm sure right now it's closed. The better point to take away here is that, yes, they've had 3 home games, and all of their other games were 4 at Tampa, 3 at Houston, also dome stadiums. And
Houston was cold. It almost got down to 70 last week. Okay, so just FYI, I had to get a long sleeve shirt.
They need to figure out what's going on inside that Minute Maid Park.
It's 70 here, and I'm running outside shirtless and shorts.
So they've literally had 3 games outside, and they just happened.
But here's the thing, though. His hard hit rate, too, is 55% right now, which is career average. Last year was 49%. Year for that, 50%. So he's hitting the ball hard. And like you said, I think that there's going to be a lot of things that it's going to break out. I'm not worried about him at all. Now with some of these underlying numbers, 114 max exit velocity.
He's not hitting a lot of fly balls right now, which is weird.
Yeah, his launch angle is like 7.8.
Yeah, I haven't looked into like if they're throwing him different pitches right now, as as opposed to usual. I didn't dig that deep into it. Seems like they're throwing him a few less sliders, a few more cutters this year than usual. They're getting away from the curveball from him so far.
He's had
I mean that could be it too. It's just that they've just figured out he's not good at hitting this, and so they're throwing him different stuff.
Yeah,
he's got to adjust.
More
fastball's pretty similar. Sliders a little down.
Changeups
almost double.
Cutters definitely up. Changeup, like you said, almost double. And then
so what they need to put is wrist weights on him, because just like his dad, he had too fast bat speed, so he had to wiggle it. So maybe he needed to put wrist weights on him to slow him down. Because
pitch it into the ground first so you can golf it out.
Exactly.
His K rate is definitely up, but again, it's still a small sample size, so I'm not as concerned with that just yet. But if it keeps trending that way, that could be a factor. But again, I think that goes back to the types of pitches being thrown to.
You know what it is? I finally figured it out. When you read stats, AJ, it finally clicked. You remember that scene in Along Came Polly? Did you watch that?
Maybe.
With Philip Seymour Hoffman talking at the end, where he's talking about like the actuary models, and he's like, if we look at this thing, this number here, solid. It just, I couldn't picture the voice. Philip Seymour Hoffman, Along Came Polly, done. It only took me 2 years to figure this out.
He's a freaking legend.
Wow. Okay. Sorry. It was for 2 years. It drove me nuts. I couldn't figure it out. Philip Seymour Hoffman. Thank you. I'm done. I literally could die a happy person right now. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
So now I'm an Oscar winner on a podcast.
Walking off the set.
You're welcome.
I'm done. That's all I was here for. Thanks.
I assume he won an Oscar. I'm pretty sure he did. But
all right, let's move on here to our last hitter, and the guy that we alluded to earlier, Alex Bregman.
Dead to me.
I mean, the batting, sadly, the best batting average of the group. But actually, that might be tied with Arenado. Now I'm looking at it, but not the greatest start. Honestly, the Astros haven't been fantastic to start the year, which is weird. Although they kind of started out slow last year too, and then got real hot at the end, obviously. But I mean, Bregman to me, I think he'll overall be fine. He's just he's more of like a safe third baseman in fantasy, and this is if you needed that, then it was fine. But he's gonna get you probably 25 bombs at the end of the year. That's what he does, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is that we keep talking about these players, and then if you look at what their teams are doing, all of them are struggling, right? The Cardinals are struggling, the Astros are struggling. The one thing that
the Stars struggle, the team struggles. Huh?
Well, yeah, but the Astros are stacked, for God's sakes.
Yes.
So
outside of
yes.
What's his name?
Babe Ruth. Hank Aaron.
No, on the Astros. Jerk.
Nolan Ryan. Is that it?
It's a good pull.
Outside of Yoan Alvarez, nobody on that team's going really much of anything.
But here's the thing. I didn't know this until I looked. Again, this is one of those where sometimes the age of a player surprises me. The expected batting average for Bregman, his career, he's had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons where his expected batting average was lower, and not by just a little bit, but lower than his actual average.
Yeah.
So I don't
20 or 30 points every.
20 or 30 points. And so I bring that up because, the one thing I see a lot of people are saying is his average is 245, but his expected batting average is 225. That's just his thing for his career. And his exit velocity is, it's always around 88, miles an hour or so. But his launch angle is always great. He's always kind of there. So he's kind of one of those people that StatCast doesn't have right. His hard hit rate's always around 40% ish, but his StatCast, he's one of those guys that we don't want to look at StatCast. It's not it's not indicative because we look at that
and he can take advantage of that stadium. So let's Leave it at that, right?
Yeah. So, Bregman's always been the guy who I somehow, like you said, he's safe. I kind of like pick it and then I just don't even look because he always goes through these weird cold spells. I don't want to pull up stats. I'm just telling you how it is.
Yeah, hell, last year he batted 219 in March and April. So
there you go.
It's just another one of these guys where like they just start slow.
Right.
I wonder, maybe we shouldn't start baseball in April. Maybe we should wait until the weather gets warmer.
Go on.
Just a thought.
Or we just play inside everywhere. Everybody.
I mean,
like,
we know Rendon would like it if we didn't start in April. True. A lot less games. Yeah.
Then maybe he'd actually care about the trillions.
We'd also have to get rid of September and possibly some August to please him.
Yeah. Probably. I mean, he's injured during those months anyway, so he doesn't care about that.
Yes.
But yeah, so Philip Seymour Hoffman, RIP, has been gone from this earth for just over 10 years. Put that into your brain and let that figure. But he did win an Oscar for Capote in the 2006.
Remember that conversation
year of our Lord. So
what just happened?
Remember that conversation before the show?
It just happened. Like, I feel like I'm just him in Boogie Nights right now, like asking Dap, aka Dirk, for like just come on, man. Are you sure? It's that scene.
And story time with AJ has just ended. So I think
you officially need to find music for when AJ starts doing that.
Yeah. Story time with AJ. Okay. I speaking of Rendon real quick, I think he's going to be the next Bobby Bonilla, just collecting a check. I think the Angels are just going to cut him and be like, look, we'll put this in an annuity. You'll get $2 million from us every year. Just something.
Just don't play baseball for us anymore, please.
Shoo. Yeah.
We'll pay you to go away.
Fact, I read somewhere recently that Bobby Bonilla also gets deferred money from the Orioles. So it's not the official Bobby Bonilla day like it is with the Mets, but he gets a pretty penny from the O's still. I think till 27, if I remember correctly.
Well,
could be wrong.
If only he topped the list of highest paid retired players. That is also an Oriole, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Davis, yes. He gets a $14.8 million check. All right, sorry.
Yes.
Go ahead.
We're going to move on to our first pitcher of the group. This is one that is legit being discussed all over Facebook and Twitter. Luis Castillo. And Mark, you brought him up earlier. Castillo, yes, look, we get it. The numbers are horrendous. 6.89 ERA. 12 earned runs in 15 and 2/3 inning, like 1.85 whip. This guy is way better than this. He is notoriously known to be a slow starter. Career.
So you say
splits.
that, but he's actually not. He is not a slow starter, as you say. So 2021 in March and April, yes, 6.29 ERA. 2022, he didn't start until May, apparently, 3.38. That's pretty decent. 2023, he was a 182.
Till May.
He was so slow, he just didn't pitch till May. 23, 1.82. So I'm not buying that.
Okay,
I am at the point where I'm going to be Zach De La Roca at the end of Freedom and just rage drop this.
What did you do? You're not allowed to.
I don't like him. What's that?
So here is the important stat. If you're looking at starting Luis Castillo, all you got to do is check one stat, and I guarantee you will be living the life with Luis Castillo. Well, actually, two stats. One, is he playing in a dome? And two, what is the temperature outside? For his career, 20 to 30 degrees, 9.82 ERA. 30 to 40 degrees, 7.63 ERA. If you keep going up, 80 to 90 degrees, 3.13, 90 plus Fahrenheit, 1.09, and just in case you're wondering, 3.28 ERA in domes. So he is absolutely a warm weather pitcher. Brookskate has a great graphic, and it's one of my favorites. If you're ever worried about that, just look up the temperature and the ERA associated with Luis Castillo.
Yes. And this is 100% a guy who, if somebody is panicking in your league, go trade for him right now. If somebody in your league is not aware of this, then do it.
If you're in my league and you are listening, please come at me with trades. I will gladly dump him to you for those reasons that they just said, because I don't care anymore. I am ready to rage drop him, but I'm not going to. I almost didn't start him the other day when he got me a flip-flopping 0. A 0. He has.
Do you have him in the fantasy 6-pack league? Because I
do not. Take him from this is my ESPN points
then,
league.
Can we trade that league?
Fantasy
no, our old league.
Okay. Got it.
But yeah,
the OG fantasy 6-pack league that's been around since like 2016.
He is driving me nuts. I am over it. I am ready to cut bait with my second round pick because he can lick taint right now. That's what I am dealing with Castillo. I would rather have Juan Castillo,
he said paint,
former defensive guy.
This is a show for all ages, AJ. Just in case you're listening, this is a show for all ages, so we will be careful there moving forward. I'm so sorry, folks.
About self-sells tainted love. What is wrong with you? Where's your head at, Dap? Get in the game.
Yep. Anyways, but yes, Luis Castillo, do not drop him. No, you're crazy if you do.
Cut him loose. Yeah. The only thing I will say is that his K rate is still relatively solid with his career numbers and in line. Everything else, straight garbage. And the Ks are the only thing keeping him in the positives in my points league.
Is that the only thing you're going to say? Because it doesn't seem like it. But anyway, let's move on here to a couple of closers who are struggling. David Bednar, the Pirates, and Jose LeClerc of the Rangers. How much longer do these guys have the job? I mean, it can't be much longer, right? I mean,
no.
Yeah, so David Bednar, huge panic button, right? They already have another closer in waiting, some guy nobody's ever heard of.
Old AF Chapman.
Yeah, just Chapman.
But he'll just walk like 4 guys a game.
Right. But again, it's, they might. But either way, Bednar's not, on solid ground. Same thing with Jose LeClerc, right? They have a pretty deep bullpen for the Rangers as well. So and there's still some free agent pitchers that might be able to be picked up. So I'm not sold on either one of these guys. I think it's definitely a scary situation. And when you have an ERA, in 14-ish land, it's just not what you want to have, especially with a team that just came off the World Series. They're not going to wait around for you to figure things out to mess up a bunch of games early in the season. So LeClerc panicking.
The one thing I'll say, like, at least Bednar's like not walking guys. He's striking them out. Clerk's like walking more than he's striking out. It's just bad. Across the board. It's like, what is happening here?
Yeah, I mean, in Bednar's defense, he was injured coming into the season. Like, that was known. It was always kind of like, hey, maybe you want to think about Aroldis Chapman because Bednar may not be fully healthy, this, that, whatever. He comes in, gets in early in the first series, pitches 2 innings, gives up a hit, 1 earned, blows a save in the second game, but gets the win because Pittsburgh somehow pulled it. And he follows it up with a save. Okay, great. You're thinking maybe it's not too bad. And then he plays Baltimore, doesn't do so well. And then he plays Detroit. And again, in my points league, I was losing pretty heavily But then I looked and saw that he threw up a -17, and somehow I was back in the lead and was like, what just happened? Okay. Oh, David Bednar happened. Thank you for that. 4 earned runs and 3 hits in a third of an inning pitched. And a walk in there too. So a third blown save, and then took the actual loss this time. So again, I don't know if this is because of the injury. Maybe it's still lingering, but he is not right now.
Right.
And I'm all for it with this current matchup. And I'm not looking to pick him up anytime he gets dropped until I can see something better out of him. I will trust old AF
because if
Chapman
it matters.
Because
in AJ's league, it matters for all of us.
So,
so we do have a question here. Should I offer Ketel Marte for Luis Castillo? I have Edward Julian and Ryan McMahon.
Ooh, yes.
Julian,
I would. Julian's garbage.
He started to hit.
Yeah. I mean,
McMahon's been pretty good.
Yeah, but Castillo is worth all 3 of those players. So I would. I mean, again, depending on. I mean, are you talking about 12-team league, 10-team league? You know, but
Points.
I would still. I would have Castillo way above those guys.
Replacement, but Castillo's worth it. So I like it. You just might have to deal with another couple of weeks of him pitching like crap, unfortunately, because it's still cold.
Second base is a lot deeper than some people, give it. Now you're not going to get like Ketel Marte-esque, performance, but there's plenty of other people out there. I mean, hell, you could probably get Corbin Carroll right now because he's slow and not second baseman, but I'm just saying if you want another hitter, yes.
Slow starting, yes.
Yes, slow starting. Yes, no, he's not slow. You're right. I apologize.
All right, next up here, back to the starters. We got George Kirby. Apparently, we're just picking on the Mariners.
Yeah.
Hey,
Pacific Northwest, shaking fists at you. Mostly you, Castillo.
If only we could find one constant in the Pacific Northwest.
George Kirby.
The stars are out over there.
Obviously not a good start, or we wouldn't have put him on here. I've seen people comment about him. The whip is bad, the ERA is bad. The one thing to really look at here though is that his FIP is 2.93. So I think that's a really good sign that things are coming. Things are going to turn around for him. I don't know. I'm honestly not too worried about him. I mean, most of these guys have had 3 starts. So he probably does, he got blown up in 1.
Right.
So it is. We've had a lot of really bad pitching performances early on this season.
I mean, when you give up 8 earned runs over 3 and 2/3 innings, it's going to destroy your ERA when you have less than 20 innings pitched total. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I could have put Goldschmidt on here who, came out in his first outing and looked fine, and then his second outing just absolutely got embarrassed, and you're like, oh well, never mind. There's a lot of these pitchers on here that I think you can look at early on and kind of look at the stats and throw a panic, but the sample size is so small for these guys right now.
Right.
It's really hard for somebody who's got the track record of a George Kirby, a Luis Castillo, a Kevin Gausman. I'm not going to overly panic on these guys. Do I like it? Absolutely not. If I have them, I hate it. I threw out Gausman last week against New York and was like, well, crap. There went that. But
Gausman.
I feel like the number of hours that Taylor Swift has slept per night on her Eras tour is less than George Kirby's ERA at 8.16. It's terrible. This is yet another Seattle pitcher.
Dude, if you get the Swifties after us, I swear to God, I'll never forgive you. Okay, so that was a fine line. Like, don't mess with Beyonce.
Game, all right,
don't mess with
playing the numbers game.
Please don't get them after us. Okay.
George Kirby does not seem to care about numbers right now because they're all garbage. I don't have any shares of Kirby this year, so I'm okay with it because I'm enough annoyed with my 1 share of Castillo. So,
because again,
moving on.
As long as it's okay for AJ, It's okay for everybody.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. All right, we got another trade question here. Would you trade Carlos Rodon and Wyatt Langford for either
of Famer,
Hunter Green
Wyatt
or
Langford.
Jared Jones?
Wait, both of those guys for one of the other two guys? Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
No. Wyatt Langford alone would give me pause to not trade for either one of those guys. And if it's in Dynasty, oh, heck no. Carlos Rodon, I mean, if you could get away with trading Rodon for Hunter Green, that's kind of gives me pause. But then I have to worry about where Hunter's pitching. But Rick Ross, look, man, I love your songs, man. You're Miami through and through. But no, don't do that.
See that? I mentioned Taylor Swift, and look who pops in. Rick Ross. You're welcome. Bringing the noise.
No words. Nothing.
Again, you're welcome.
All right, last guy here, Zach Eflin. Started off the season. The first 5 innings was good.
Yep.
The 6th inning was not. The second game was good. The third game was not. So I don't really know what to take from this guy right now. The strikeouts aren't really there either right now. He's just getting crushed. I don't know. I'm not gonna, I'm not dropping him. Dap, you're the Rays whisperer. What do you got, man?
I mean, okay, so
I don't know where that.
Well, here's the thing, right? Like, I think the thing is that
it's a joke because he always says nobody ever knows what the Rays are doing.
Right, and here's the thing.
Get with it, AJ.
One of those bad starts was against the mighty Angels. I mean, so yeah, I think it's one of those situations where, well, first off, you had to pay up to get Eflin this year. He was not going to sneak up on anybody in any draft. He was going at least 5 or 6 rounds higher than he was last year. But yikes, I'm not worried about him because it's the Rays, and if he keeps messing up, they'll just put him at shortstop. But at the same time, I don't know when I can trust him. I have to wait a little bit to put it minimal, to put it mildly. He just seems to be just a little off. I think he's just off a little bit early in the season. I think calendar changes to May. I think we have to see a whole new pitcher. In fact, you can bookmark this right now at the 52-42 minute mark. I think Eflin in May is going to be just absolutely back on track. Just for the rest of this month, I'm kind of iffy starting him. He just seems so just not right. Please be okay.
I think the big thing with him right now is just he's just a sucker for the home run ball. I mean.
Oh, that's it? Oh, okay. You can fix that. Yeah, just don't throw any more home run balls, Zach.
Exactly. Just stop doing that, idiot.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay, got it.
You're a pitcher. You're not supposed to
The one
give
major change
balls.
I'm seeing
if you
is
want to be a
throwing
paisano
his
working in the
slider a lot more.
Little Italy store
this season than he was last year and the season before. Less changeup, and less cutter. Or less curveball. Sorry. I wonder why that is right now. It could just be like the matchups right now we're calling for that, or maybe he's trying to change things up.
I mean, he's
not working. Go back to what was working.
Well, here's something else. Going along that, Joe. Here's something else that's really interesting as well, right? Michael Waterloo, Pitcher McPerfect, Michael Waterloo on Twitter has a great tweet about this. George Kirby, we just talked about him. Should throw outside the zone occasionally. His 57% in zone rate trails only Zach Eflin, Jared Jones, and JP Sears. And hitters are making contact in the zone. This is against Kirby 81% of the time. Zach Eflin it's one of those things where you're throwing in the zone too much, and you always find those weird no hitters that happen sometimes where the guy walks like 18 batters. Because the batters are sitting in the batter box, like, I don't know if this ball's coming at my face, it's going to hit my car. I don't know what. And it's one of those like wild thing situations. And maybe that's the situation too. Zach Eflin needs to, dump some pitches. That's a really interesting thing. I would love to dive in more, but that's yeah. If I'm in the box, I'm like, well, you know what? I don't know what's coming, but I know it's going to be probably in the zone. That definitely kicks out a lot of issues with what I'm going to have to swing at.
Yeah,
Well,
no, that's a really good point.
It looks like his pitch velocity is down a little bit this year. Like by pitch, the changeup is up a couple miles per hour, and his his curveball looks like it's up slightly above his career numbers, but he's just not throwing these balls. So I mean, maybe that weighs into it for the sample size that's there, but Eflin is one that I was pretty high on coming into the season. I agree. I think he will be fine because he's in Tampa. They are the pitcher whisperers. So I'm not overly concerned with him right now. But yeah, I would like to see a little more consistency out of him before I'm really confident in throwing him out for a lot more games.
I mean, I'll think that maybe we all sort of just got sucked into hey, he moved to Tampa last year. He had a career year. This is now Zach Eflin, right?
Yeah,
maybe we all got suckered into it because he's always been okay, serviceable, but never really oh yeah, he's like a guy you want to be as your SP2, which is where he's being drafted. Maybe we all got suckered into it. I don't think he's this bad, but it happens every single year.
Yeah, I think he's an SP3, SP4, a guy that's going to get blown up occasionally, but is most likely going to give you a solid sub 4 ERA. But he's not the ace that we all, some people thought he was last year. I mean, that was completely out of the blue. But I still think it's way better than what he's given right now.
Absolutely.
And at the same time, I trust Tampa, just like I do Atlanta, and less the Cardinals now. We do have an interesting question, though, because of what happened was, what about Hunter Brown? How do you feel about him, Joe, after what happened today?
Yes.
Honestly, I would not be shocked at all.
In our fantasy 6-pack league, a couple of the leaders started Hunter Brown today, and they fell 30
They
spots.
Are no longer in the league. Nice. Yeah, I mean, my pitching staff in that league has just been obliterated. So I'm not doing well right now. Hopefully I could bounce back, but need a lot of help. Hunter Brown is somebody that, I mean, look, he wasn't really that good last year.
What?
Strikeout numbers fantastic, but over 5 ERA, it wasn't great. So him getting off to this kind of start, I mean, I'm guessing he doesn't have options left. So I don't know what they're going to do with him. Plus, I mean, they just brought up their top pitching prospect. They just brought up their top pitching prospect, and look how that turned out too. So
got rocked.
He also got destroyed by the Royals.
So everybody in this game hit against Hunter Brown except for Blanco, who came in the 8th as a pinch hitter and flied out. And then Garrett Hampson didn't even have an at bat against him. He took over for Bobby Witt, I guess, as a defensive replacement. So, yeah, I mean, I saw Hunter Brown pitching in this game, and I went out to scour the waiver wire in my leagues and be like, I need some people to play because it's a short day. There's not a lot of games. Oh, all right. Let me see who's out there for Kansas City, which typically you would think, unless your name's Marsh Smith, this is blasphemous. No one's ever going to go after these guys. Right. But today was the day to do it.
Except for you and me and a few people.
Yeah,
exactly.
Here's the one thing I don't know if a lot of people know is that Hunter Brown actually made history today as well. Most hits allowed in a game by a pitcher who pitched less than one full inning in Major League history. Carlos Frias, with your 10 hits in a 2014 game, I'm sorry, sir. You're in second place now. Hunter Brown, 11 hits
You,
allowed
sir,
today.
are not
Not
as
good.
sucky as you once were.
All right, so we got a couple quick questions, and then we'll jump into the last part of the show here.
Sure.
Mark asking head-to-head weekly points league next week: Hunter Brown versus Atlanta, or
No.
Sandoval 2 starts against Tampa and at Cincy.
Oh God,
16 team league, or he could pick up Quintana versus Pittsburgh.
Okay, Quintana versus Pittsburgh.
Quintana,
Much rather. Sandoval is awful, and the idea of him pitching at the new Colorado of Cincinnati is scary. And Tampa Bay,
not putting
no
out
way.
Brown, obviously.
Tampa. I mean, the Tampa game doesn't scare me as much, but
if you're as
But
bad
you
as
literally
Sandoval
could be
is,
looking at,
I would not.
you could
play.
literally be
no,
looking
I
at
do know he's bad. Yeah, I watched him live on opening day.
yeah.
For Sandoval. So no, I'm out on that. We will have our pitching planner out tomorrow or Saturday, so you'll be able to see exactly where the ratings fall for him. But I'm gonna guess that Sandoval is not going to be a suggested 2-start pitcher.
No,
So I'm on
No, he
Quintana,
should
even
not
though
be.
it's not great sounding. It's the best. It's the least worst of the options, if that's a better way to say it. Sorry. And then Aroldis
so
Chapman
this
or
one,
Griffin
this
Jax
one's
rest of
interesting, right?
season?
So if you just need saves, obviously
Yes.
I'd go with Chapman because Jax is just holding that seat warm. I love Jax a lot more.
Yeah.
Here, if it's whole plus saves, Jax all day long. But if you're just going for saves and focus that on, I'd probably pick Chapman more because Jax is
just go get
just
help with whip elsewhere because
right.
Chapman's not going to give it to you.
Exactly. And if you always wanted an ulcer, pick up, start Chapman for whatever.
Yeah. All right. That is it for the time to panic segment. We're gonna quickly rip through some of these injuries, give a couple takes on them. So over the last week, we were busy. Shane Bieber, Tommy John, Spencer Strider, UCL, maybe Tommy John coming. Framber Valdez, inflammation in his left elbow or something like that. Also, probably Tommy John coming soon. Hitters, Luis Robert, grade 2 hip flexor, out 6 to 8 weeks.
Yep.
And teammate,
right?
Maybe doesn't belong on the list, but
Sure.
put him there is kind of a joke. Yoan Moncada, abductor injury here.
So
I think the story here really comes to the injured pitchers, and these are the biggest names of the ones that have been hurt over the last week. There are more. There's a lot of talk about the pitch clock being a problem. And to that point,
tell us more, Joe.
Garrett Cole, a good quote that Dap found here, said in an article, every time you adapt to something, there's a cost, Cole said via Newsday. To say that the pitch clock is not contributing to people getting hurt is, I don't think, an accurate statement. I'm not necessarily saying that it is, but it's certainly a variable that's out there, along the importance of spin and the importance of velocity and the importance of location. They're all contributing factors. So kind of saying what a lot of us have been saying, that pitch clock is definitely a factor for MLB but MLB is basically saying no, this isn't it. Well, it's been around for a year, guys. Maybe you want to give it a little bit longer. But I mean, there's lots of stuff out there on Twitter, people showing graphs
Twitter melted down.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, but there's lots of charts out there that I've seen where basically you see this correlation of velocity going up and the number of Tommy Johns going exactly with it. Right. And so, I mean, look, we're asking these guys to come out here and throw 100 miles an hour every pitch,
right?
For 100 pitches. Right. Back in it, we all want to complain that these pitchers, oh man, back in the day, these guys all wait 8-9 innings. Well, they were never throwing like this. This is insane. They weren't taking balls and like twisting their arm at these weird angles and just putting so much stress on ligaments. It's impossible to ask these guys to do this every 5 days at the rate that the rate that they're throwing the ball like at. It's just, I mean, at some point it's going to get to the point where we're just going to see 1 inning reliever pitcher games, like go like a pitcher can only throw 1 inning because their body literally can't take it. Right. I don't know what else to do at this point. Like it sucks. Like we kind of talked about it last week, where this like the pitchers that are on the IL right now. I mean, it's like 2 all-star games worth of pitchers. It sucks.
Yeah.
And like you said, right? We were talking about the sweeper last year, and of course this offseason, who got the sweeper, who has the sweeper? Well, like you just said, right? You have to use this whole thing. I don't think anybody knows. Nobody's going to know for a while. But man, you go on Twitter and everybody knows. Breaking down the video, and it's obviously this. But but you and I called this out last offseason, right? That we were worried that the pitch clock could cause that. We don't know how exactly, but the rushing, the amount of waiting, whatever the case may be. But point of fact, it just sucks. So yeah, I mean, and in the day, from a fantasy perspective, you have got to be ready to pivot. Whatever you think your starting pitchers are, just be ready to pivot. Have about 3 more on the bench. The days of having like 5 hitter benches and like having like 2 pitcher benches is gone. You need to have it the other way around.
My Raz Slam team had Shane Bieber and Valdez go out in back-to-back days. I was like, well, there goes that team.
Well, another one we don't even have on here is
I'm sure we have a ton of it on here.
Pivetta. I mean, was he on the slide?
Oh, right.
Talked
Yeah.
about him earlier.
Yep.
Yeah. Nick Pivetta just went out because I lost
Yep.
Bieber earlier in the, I guess, last weekend or earlier this week. And then I lost Pivetta too.
Another
And I'm
Tommy
like,
John victim.
cool, great. Like the day already started with a game, and now I can't do anything. I just move him to my IL for today or whatever it was.
Right.
But yeah, I was listening to something earlier today. They were talking about, I thought it was the Boston Red Sox threw like some crazy number of consecutive breaking pitches in yesterday's game. Maybe that's not correct, but I swore that something that I was listening to talked about like
that
this
might be
number
a
of breaking pitches. But the point is, like, throwing all these breaking pitches, you're adding the spin, and the spin is what I feel like is aiding in all of these injuries that are coming up. Like you guys said, it's a matter of pitchers being asked to do this, nonstop, throw as hard as you possibly can, as long as you possibly can. Well, nobody's going to be doing it for much longer if you keep doing it this way.
So going on your thing, AJ, right? The Red Sox are throwing breaking pitches 6% more than last year. Their fastball count is down by 10%. The MLB average is 31.2% on breaking balls, and the 2024 Red Sox are throwing 34.6%. So overall, they're about 3% higher. So definitely to that point. But and they also have a guy named Cutter Crawford, so he's obviously throwing cutters.
Exactly. Yeah. Or he's throwing Crawfords. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But going back to the jokes that we were making at the beginning of the episode, in case people didn't know this, Luis Robert and Yoan Moncada both got horrible injuries because, just like in football, if you see somebody go down without being touched, it's bad. And Yoan Moncada is coming around first, and he kind of pulls up, and then Luis Robert is coming around the bag on another play. This is 3 games earlier, and also pulled up. I think he just come around third, and that's why I'm thinking it's the groundskeeper that has it out for these guys. It's just both of them looked horrible injuries, and I can't expect those guys coming back anytime soon. Yes, they're saying Luis Robert should only be out 6 to 8 weeks,
so he's getting them back.
Yeah.
Yes, Luis Robert 6 to 8 weeks. But I don't think he's going to have the typical power that we're expecting from him. Yoan Moncada, previous number 1 prospect in the game. By the way, adductor, I thought it was ABD. That blew me away. I was like, you idiot, you misspelled it.
I had to kind of like do a double take when I typed that one in. I was like, wait a minute, that's how you spell that? Because I did, exactly the same thing.
Yeah, and, my fantasy spelling league is going to it's just burning down right now.
All right, let's finish out and we'll make this a little more fun. But question of the day. This is Dap. I just kind of took your question and kind of made it a segment. So
all right, no problem. I love it.
So do you want to ask the question since it's yours?
Yes.
Take someone else away by force or
so
deception.
AJ and Joe, if you see, previously, if we saw a pitcher had started at Coors Field, was at Colorado, immediate benching unless, just it was Garrett Cole or something. Now, if you see at Colorado on the schedule for a daily league or something of that nature, are you benching your player like automatically? Or are you thinking, maybe? Is it scary anymore to you guys?
It's not as scary as it once was. I'm still a little weary about certain guys, but if I had to throw a Luis Castillo out there, no, definitely not. F that guy and the horse he rode in. But no, in a regular, thing, I talk a big game about Castillo, but I do realize he is a solid pitcher. I'm not that much of an idiot yet, but no, I don't think it is as scary as it was. Once they got the humidor, whatever it is that's there, I just don't see the issues as much. Now, that said, I'm not as big a fan of throwing a Colorado pitcher at home because Colorado just doesn't have good pitching still. But other players, not as worried as I once was.
No, and look, I agree with AJ. I'm really not afraid anymore. Like, if you look at last year's home splits for Colorado team hitting, they were last in WRC plus. When was the last time you saw that?
Yep.
WOBA was better. They were 7th in WOBA. But like it's just even at home, like they hit 93 home runs at home, middle of the pack for the league. Like the offense is there, and that's last year. I mean, this year is
terrible.
It's even worse, right? And it's just like, I mean, this offense looks embarrassingly bad. I don't know what they tried to sign, the one, MVP Chris Bryant, who is now a complete shell of himself. I took him at the very back end of some best balls, regretting that decision for but it was like, well, whatever.
How bad could he be? He's
yes, he can. Right?
Let me show you, sir.
Yeah.
I think the thing is too is it's no longer a question about the stadium, right? You're right, the humidor thing, but I think the question also is posing the fact that you're exactly right. Joe, is the team's terrible. And they feel like, it used to be like, hey, just bring up a hitter, they'll play in Colorado. That's now the case in Cincinnati, assuming they stay healthy. Colorado, I'm not as scared as I was. Now, like we had the question a minute ago about starting somebody. Cincinnati, it scares the heck out of me, right? At Cincinnati, no way. But Colorado, I'm on the fence. You had to
be a stud to get started at Cincinnati,
right?
In my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was looking at something. I was just looking at their lineup stats here for Colorado. Nolan Jones. Remember how last year we were talking about before the season, his BABIP was like crazy high.
Yeah, we thought he was for sure going to be a bust.
Well, I mean, he's not playing very well, but his BABIP is still just like insanely good at 455. It's like,
what's his batting? Well, hold on. His BABIP is 455, but what's his batting average?
Batting average is I believe 224.
Of course it is. Right.
Yeah, something like
200,
that.
only 200 points lower. No big deal. So
Yeah,
I have a
not-
feeling he puts grease on the ball after he hits it. I mean, that's the only, like, he Bugs Bunnies it. That's got to be the only way that ball just doesn't get caught. Wow. He needs to work on that.
Yeah. Or no, sorry, that's his BABIP at home. I must have had it like split by home because then his BABIP is not that good overall. My bad.
Thanks, AJ.
Right.
That's an AJ stat.
I read the teleprompter.
No.
His BABIP is 286. His batting average is 157. It's still his BABIP is still like insanely high.
Okay, this is going to be awesome. Rockies versus Astros in Mexico City. That's going to be tremendous. The altitude there is nuts. They had to be bringing a humidor, but I didn't even think about that.
No,
That's
I
going to be.
don't think they will because they're like, let's get the power hitters going.
we need some runs.
Chris Bryant hits 7 home runs.
Your job
Chris
every
Bryant's
week
gonna have
is to bring us
coming
another
out
question
party
to end
in
out
Mexico
the
City.
show.
I will.
By the way,
No problem.
Just so you know. But
All right.
we, of course, didn't get to your favorite segment, and that is our Wyatt Langford F6P Hall of Fame tracker. 12 for 46, 4 runs, 6 RBI, still no home runs.
He's percolating. The 0 home runs is percolating.
Just simmering, just
Simmering.
waiting for it.
If I could
Victor Scott.
Hey,
You know what? Cool. It's a cool looking at bat line here.
Yeah, that's
4
awesome.
for 44. 6 runs. He has officially scored no runs this past week. He has 6 last week.
Well, who's going to hit him in? Who's hitting him in?
He did get an RBI. Yeah.
If I could just for a second,
God,
no, you may not
take myself through my transition to Philip Seymour Hoffman to now my new transition of Bob Barker.
Can we interview the guy that went all in on his fab with Victor Scott? That's what I want to know.
Of the Masters, flip my golf club in the air and just say, this guy sucks. A la Bob Barker and Happy Gilmore won for both of these guys. We can just stop this segment because
no, we can't.
There is no Hall of Fame. They're never making it.
It's supposed to be fun.
This guy sucks.
Oh, okay. All right. So on April 11th, Mike, can you write this down? April 11th, about 10:16 Central Time. He said Wyatt Langford and Victor Scott suck. I just want to make sure because when Wyatt Langford turns it around and has 30 bombs, I just want to remember this moment because I could see that happening after the AJ curse.
Not when, but if that happens, then I will gladly shotgun a beer on air and spill it all over
you'll do that anyways. I want something.
You'll do that anyway.
Yeah. I want you to take a razor and shave just a big strip down the center of your head.
I don't even know how old I am. No, I don't shotgun beers. I'm not a chugger. I don't do that childish stuff. Okay, keg stand, sure, fine. Maybe I'll do that. I'll stand up against this wall and I'll give myself a keg stand.
I don't think anybody wants to see that. I think that
nobody does, but nobody believes in these guys more than you. So,
okay, hold on. One last one. Yes, Angelo. No.
Yes. Thank you, Angelo.
Wait, hold on. 10 team. Oh, sorry, I didn't see the 10 team. 10 team. Yes, absolutely. I would. Do that. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't see it was 10 team.
I would think that I would hope there'd be somebody worse than Langford to drop on a team, but I mean, O'Neal needed to be rostered. Absolutely, he's on fire right now. But you know what you also do with O'Neal? Trade his ass because that ain't keeping up.
No,
no way. Nope. Not even close. All right, that is it for the show tonight. Thank you for tuning in.
Time to
we will be back next week with more nonsense from AJ. Who knows what he talks about sometimes?
Nobody. That's why it's
nobody. Absolutely nobody. But that's it for us. We will see you later. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Leave those comments, 5-star reviews, whatever it is. We appreciate it, and see you all next week.